Hello everyone and welcome back to the SteemTrail Gaming News. Today is the 15th of December 2017. My name is Kralizec and I will be your host for the evening. Today we got only two topics, but one of them is probably going to take a while. So let's begin with talking about COD World War II being the most sold console game of 2017 despite being sold only for about a month. And then the big topic, net neutrality. But again, let's begin with COD. So we don't have the exact figures, but the market research company called the MPD Group says that Call of Duty World War II is currently the most sold console game of the year 2017. And I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of the COD series. They're not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but they just seem really repetitive to me, so I don't really care about them anymore. But they sure do have a lot of fans, obviously, since the game has been on the market for pretty much a month and has managed to become the most sold game. And I gotta say, that is simply put amazing. Seriously, COD has one of the most dedicated player bases of all time, probably. Just the fact that they managed to sell so much in a single month that they beat all other games throughout the whole year is just baffling to me. So congratulations, Call of Duty. You probably earned it. I haven't played your game. It's Call of Duty. I don't care. And our second topic for today, net neutrality. So the FCC has repealed net neutrality in the United States, and a lot of people are freaking out about this. And I think I will probably be one of the people that has a different opinion, and I don't think there's going to be very much of us. So you need to remember, I do not come from the United States. And while we do have sort of a net neutrality here in Europe, in the European Union to be more specific, our net neutrality doesn't work the same exact way American net neutrality used to work until recently. So the thing a lot of people are afraid, let's first talk about that. A lot of people are afraid that this will create two-way internet. One where stuff will be slow, where it will just be pretty much everything, and then a few select cases where big companies will pay for their content to be more easily accessible. And on one hand, I do understand the concerns. I really do. And I feel a lot of people are sort of misjudging what effect this will most likely have on the American internet. So the way it works here in Europe is that ISPs are forbidden from slowing down content arbitrarily, but they aren't forbidden from making other stuff more easily accessible. That essentially means that I'm going to talk just here about Czech Republic, but it's pretty much the rest of Europe either way. So let's say you buy a 20 megabit connection. You have access to everything with 20 megabits. And if you choose, there are certain ISPs where you can buy access to Netflix with 50 megabytes. And you might be saying, but that's exactly what we're talking. Netflix is now being prioritized. Yes, but not by choosing of the ISP. You need to remember that. You have access to Netflix straight off the bat with 20 megabits with your selected connection. But if you choose to buy that packet, you can more easily access Netflix with more better, faster internet. That's one of the cases, and to be honest, this case is extensively rare. Almost never this is the case with the speed of the internet. What this is usually the case about is fair user policies. You know, the amount of data you have available. And it's especially seen in the mobile carriers. So for example, very recently, I think it's like 2 months ago, Vodafone here in the Czech Republic has started to offer packages that allow you to pay for access to different kinds of media. So if I remember it correctly, they have something called a social pass and a media pass. And obviously the social pass allows you to access things like the Messenger from Facebook itself, Twitter, Instagram, and all of these services without dipping into your data plan. The same with the media pass, but this one applies to things like Netflix and Google Music and other such services, again, not dipping into your data plan. And the thing is, I'm completely okay with it. You know, it's not like they're slowing down the rest of the content. I really doubt that will happen to a large degree. At least to as large of a degree, a lot of people who are scared of the repeal of net neutrality think it will happen. Because if it does, the customers will get very angry. And they will either switch to a different ISP if there is one available, or they could potentially just organize huge ass petitions on sites like change.org. So I really don't think this will create slow lanes, and that is what most people seem to be afraid of. I do agree that it will most likely create fast lanes, whether it will be for actual speed or for data plans. But I don't see a real problem with that. As long as you are getting the internet you paid for, as long as if you pay for a 20 megabit internet, you are getting a 20 megabit access to everything, then it is fine. If you want to have faster access, or you don't want that some sort of content to dip into your data plan, you can pay for that, and that is not currently available under the laws in America, as far as I understand it. I might be wrong, but as far as I understand it, it's just not currently available because it is prioritizing one content over the other if you do that. And I really don't see what the big deal here is. There might have to eventually come some additional law that says, if it becomes a problem, by the way, that ISPs are not allowed to arbitrarily slow down something, but I think they should be allowed to create fast lanes. I really do, because sometimes you're just browsing Facebook, and that's all you do, and on top of that you just watch Netflix, and you don't really care about the speed of Facebook that much, so you have your cheapest plan for that. But you want your movies to load faster, so you just buy that $5 packet that allows you to access Netflix super fast. And the rest of the internet, whenever you need it, it's still there, but it's just a little bit slower. And there's one more thing I think that will happen. So if you buy a 20 megabit internet, and some sites get arbitrarily slowed down, it is a good case for suing the company. Because you paid for a 20 megabit internet, and you're not getting it. And if enough people do that, I think it's called a class lawsuit in America, something like that, like class act lawsuit. I don't really remember. I'm not an expert in American law by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not an expert in Czech law by any stretch of the imagination either. But there are lawsuits where masses of people can come together and sue a company if they believe they are being screwed by the company. And this might be exactly that case. So if you're paying for some sort of internet and you're not getting it on certain sites, that is probably a warrant for suing that company. And if companies start doing that, I think that is exactly what will happen. Eventually forcing the companies not to do it. So I don't believe net neutrality in the way it was presented, in the way it worked in America, was a good thing. There might be a case for having a law that forbids companies to slow down things, but the fact that they aren't allowed to speed up things either is not it's not good either way. So in the end, I think net neutrality isn't as good as people think it is in the way it worked in America. Net neutrality is a good concept in heart, but so are many other things that when are actually applied don't work exactly the way you think they are going to. So always be wary of too much regulation and always think of how to regulate it with minimum impact on the rest of the world, because sometimes you might find that regulating something here might have unintentional consequences, and that's why minimal regulation is always the way to go. And I know I'm projecting my political beliefs into this, and I know I will get a lot of people angry with my opinion here that I'm just not, yes, we need net neutrality because it is good always. No, anything when done wrong can be wrong, obviously, but it really needs to be taken with a grain of salt what you're hearing everywhere and read into it fully. This is not only a matter of politics, but also a matter of economics and sociology. And all three of these topics are incredibly, incredibly complex. And I don't claim I understand either of them perfectly, because I don't think there is a single person in the world who understands either of these concepts perfectly. What we need to do is now come up with a way that makes sure nobody gets screwed while keeping the regulations to the very, very minimum we are capable of. And the way usually this happens in most of the world isn't by government regulation, but by the free market. And if the free market fails, then it's time to put in government regulation, not the other way around. But that's just my opinion. I really want you guys to tell me your opinion if you just think I'm an idiot, and you're entitled to your opinion. And I hope you don't just stop watching this podcast because of it, because that would be unfair to the rest of the podcast. Again, this is only my opinion, and I'm perfectly fine with other people disagreeing with it. And with that being said, that's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel. If you're watching this on Steemit, be sure to leave an upvote and to follow our blog. And either way, leave a comment with your opinion on net neutrality. And with that, see you guys later with more gaming content.